Welcome to DioField Chronicle early review, first impression, or however you want to call this video, you tactical bastards. Full review is gonna come after game has been properly beaten. At the moment I have played the game for 7 hours, which is not nearly enough to give proper review. Review key was provided by Square Enix. As always, it has no effect on my opinion. DioField Chronicle is combat-oriented JRPG that tells a story about mercenary units asserting themselves into War of Three Nations, with DioField being only place where crystals can be farmed, which immediately makes them target of allies and enemies alike. By looking at world map, it is clear when compared to real world we should be UK, Empire are Russians, and Rawtail Alliance are Western Europe countries. Not gonna comment on similarities to real life world events, as there is no point. It is a game after all. What I love is power relations feature in library that clearly depicts what is happening in each chapter. Visual representation of story progression relative to advances of warring nations is great touch that more games should utilize. Haven't progressed enough to judge the story, but it is decent so far as it is keeping me interested even with heavy focus on combat. There is ton of useless dialogue moments though, which is staple of JRPGs and seems like a filler at times. Voice acting, even English, is good, but nothing spectacular. Most dialogues aren't voiced, but story ones are. I never had an issue with non-voiced dialogues in games, as I believe it is more of a personal preference. Characters are decent, with typical Square Enix cast at times, like Andreas being the quietest and straightforward, accompanied by the likes of Goody Two-Shoes Big Boy Fredred. Others are more interesting in a way. Valtaquin, the noble girl, shows some spunk and story progresses. Iscarion, another interesting evil-looking bastard that is beloved by everyone with fantastic voiceover. I believe there are at least 10 characters in total.
Then welcome to the unit.
Thank you, it's an honor.
So let's talk about combat then, right? Why am I even mentioning story and characters in such a game? If you think story and characters are irrelevant, please leave gaming forever. You'll have our thanks. Combat is an interesting one. Don't think I've played anything like it. Characters on Battlefield are controlled a little bit like in RTS games through movement and automatic attacks when in position. Giving orders is done a bit like in traditional JRPGs or even Dungeons & Dragons due to pause mechanic. Skills are classic Final Fantasy with added classic summons like Bahamut and Fenrir. Imagine traditional JRPG combat like in original Final Fantasy VII, then zoom out camera and start moving characters around in a similar way to RTS games while utilizing similar set of skills. I think that describes it well enough. It does work well as positioning becomes key due to ambush or sneak attack mechanic and AoE skills. Creating AoE dead zones is quite fun.
I understand.
Everyone, all together now.
On my way.
Character progression is kinda basic so far, but it might become interesting later. Weapons and characters are as usual with Square predefined, and progression mechanics seem to be tied a lot to story advancing without much freedom given to the player except which of few skills to get next. Battlefields are dioramas of locations unit is currently at. Not happy with that choice. It looks bland and a bit childish. They could have made much better job. Don't like spawning enemies as well. Overall, I like DioField Chronicle so far, but I'm also aware of potential pitfalls. Major one being how game is gonna be structured later. What I mean is that it could become a bit boring if it ends up being focused around replaying same missions to improve characters. Good thing is that combat speed can be increased, which would help significantly when it comes to replaying missions. Hoping for better character progression too. Stay tuned for tips, videos and full review. Might fire up some streams as well. See you soon.
And now you will die.